All
right.
ads.
What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll. We're back another Tuesday with a great show for you guys. We have one of our other hosts on as our guest, Robert Soto, today. So we're going to get into talking about community, not just disability community, but any type of community. You know, we're all living life, doing things, even if you're part of a gaming community, church communities, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into some intros, and then we'll thank our sponsors here in a second. But I am Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago now. Tom, you want to go,
What's
and
up?
then we can let the.
What's up, everybody? It's Tom Conaway, C6B quadriplegic for the last 26 years, coming at you from sunny Southern California. Bobby, take it away.
Hey, thanks a lot, Tom. Once again, Bobby Rohan, C56 Quad, of almost 35 years. TikTok, just a couple days before your birthday, Soto.
Yep, yep.
Like Tom, man, living in beautiful Southern California. Finally, we see some sun, no rain this week, so that's a good thing. And this is my dog, Luna, and she wants to say hi and pester me. So that's us in a nutshell. Robert, take it away.
All right, thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me here. I'm in Southern California, but there's no sun out here where I'm at today. Just kind of gloomy looking. Anyway, my name's Robert. I'm a T12 spinal cord injury, motorcycle racing accident back in 1974. In fact, Sunday was my official 50 years post injury. So first first milestone of mine that I kind of set. You know, I don't really keep track of birthdays much. But yeah,
I know.
so 50
Congratulations, Robert.
years, man. It's been
That
a
is
fast.
that.
It's gone fast. It's
So,
fast.
Soto, tell me how that makes you feel.
Old, old. But you know what? It's funny because I've kind of been just taking it easy the last week or so, and just kind of kicking back and thinking about different things, and just all the stuff that I've gone through in the past 50 years that were panic modes that sometimes now I can look back and laugh. I go, man, I survived that thing. It's funny when you reflect on just the things that you've overcome or that you dealt with, and that it just, the regular person, the able-bodied person wouldn't understand. I mean, we all have our challenges, but the disabled piece is just like, yeah, there's a lot, and I'm glad I can kind of look back and laugh about it now.
It's
Two
inspiring
questions for
too.
you. What?
I,
Oh, good.
I was just gonna say, like in 24 years, when I hit my 50-year anniversary for being paralyzed, I'm gonna be pretty stoked. And it's just cool to know that you know, there's somebody. I know our disabilities are different levels and stuff, but to be as healthy as you are, as active and functional as you are, so many years post SCI, it is pretty cool, pretty inspiring to know that, and gives me some hope for hopefully being that in the future too. So.
Well, cool, cool.
I have a question
Thanks.
for you, Robert, or two.
Yeah,
What's been the
yeah.
best thing in the 50 years, and what's been the worst thing of the 50 years of SCI?
Okay. The best thing is just to know that I had it in me to survive. That I never really that giving up is not in my makeup, in my DNA stuff. So that kind of makes me feel good. I mean, you know, I set goals earlier in life, and I've always had goals. I maybe just didn't play it up as much with with anybody else, but for myself, I've had the personal goals, and to know that I can set those goals and keep working at them and in some form or fashion accomplish them. And so I feel good about that. The thing that's been, I think, the worst for me is looking back, and this is only in reflection because at the time I didn't really matter to me, but not taking care of myself. That's the worst thing. I mean, if I would have been a little bit more conscious, and this will get probably more involved as we talk on the show here today. I didn't take care of myself. I went on like if I wasn't disabled or like I didn't need to do this or do that, and I was young, like we all were young and stuff like that. But I really feel that I could have been in a lot better place uh, if I would have taken care of myself, especially like if my shoulders weren't bothering me and stuff like that, then I could still transfer halfway decent, and I'd still be going strong, a lot stronger than I am. I'm just the aging and disability. And you don't think about that stuff when you're younger. I didn't think about how long my life was going to be in a chair and what the challenges were going to be. I just took a day at a time and did what I wanted and rolled that way.
You know, I know we're going to go on community base and we were going to talk about our sponsor, but one quick, just when you say that, was it just because, was it just like, do you think some of it just being when we're young, in our 20s and our 30s, we don't go to the doctor as, we think we're more resilient. Do you think some of it
Yeah.
was that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really didn't get to start really seeing a doctor until the '90s. Probably the mid '90s is when I finally go. Oh, I better get. Started having blood pressure issues and stuff. And when I had a pressure sore and stuff like that, I would work it out. I don't know how I did it, but I'd work it out to see a doctor. And so hopefully, and luckily got on the right path to get that taken care of. But no, I didn't see the doctor. I was partying. I worked hard, played hard. And I just, it's that
Yeah.
immortality and the resiliency that you have when you're younger. You don't need to. I just, I and that was the problem with the shoulders. As I injured my shoulders throughout the years. Oh yeah, I just worked through it. Nowadays, man, my shoulder starts bothering me and I'm down. Because I don't have to work or anything like that. I don't have my life is what I make it here. So I can take care of better care of myself nowadays. There's time to do that before life gets in the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys have taught me a thing or two about age catching up with you and the importance
Yeah.
of taking care of yourself while you're younger. Because there's no going back, there's no taking time back, there's no going back in time and doing things over again. You get one shot to do it the best you can the first time. And hope that you hit it big and do it right. Um, and it's an important thing. It's an important thing to consider. I feel like a young man in an old body because I've been paralyzed for a majority of my life, and it's
Yeah.
certainly taken more of a toll than if I weren't a quadriplegic and disabled. Feeling like some of the side effects of gravity and aging and parts wearing out and all the bullshit that comes with getting older. And it has been a learning curve. It's been a lot of change. It's been a lot of recognizing, hey, bro, you got to pull it back a little bit. Like you can party and go wild and have fun, but you also have to go to therapy and go to the doctors and eat right and not drink too much when you want to go out and party and all the shit that comes along with that. Um, but yeah, it's a tricky thing, and I think it's cool to have the benefit of your guys' perspective, and it certainly taught me a lot and given me a lot of perspective and how to best go about things moving forward to set myself up for as much success as possible. Um, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors real quick, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Pop that graphic up there, Shawnee boy. We will tell you a little bit more about these amazing companies and how they can support you and all the love and support that they give us at the end of the show. That's all you're going to hear for now. So thank you to them. Community is the feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals.
Well, there you
Boom.
go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Um,
That's exactly.
I think
Oh, that's
everybody
it.
who's
That's the
been,
show.
that's it. That's the show. I don't know. I
All right,
think
everyone, have a great day.
everybody, uh, I hope everybody has that in some way, shape, or form. Shawn said it earlier. That can exist in many different ways. Like I have many different communities that I'm a part of that give me a lot of love and support, and the commonalities and like the similar goals and interests and attitudes that we share give me a lot and lend a lot to positive forces in my life. Obviously, the big one that we're talking about today is community with other individuals with disabilities. And not just that, but I mean, let's be real, that's probably the majority of what we're talking about. And Live to Roll is a beautiful, incredible example of that. There are nearly 13,500 individuals subscribed and a part of Live to Roll. It's a community that has no borders or bounds. We are international. We're flying through the air. We're up in space. We're connected with people from all over the world, disabled, not disabled, different kinds of disabilities. This community here has led more to my life and given me more positivity, grace, and education than I can even put into words. And it's probably the most special community I am a part of. So big shout out to Shawn Fluke for starting Live to Roll and connecting us. And thank you to everybody in the community, everybody who's in the chat every week and who's all part of it and helping educate us and helping support us and give us love and just being here and sharing who you are with us. That is what Live to Roll is. So,
Yeah. Look at our chat today. We got Shawn, we got Nicole. Nicole, welcome back. So glad to see. We haven't seen you in our chat in a while. We got Miss Conway, and we got Rob, and Happy PT Girl, and my dog, and Sarah, and Paul. So what? And she wants to say hi too.
Erica just
So
joined
without
the chat.
you, I mean, I'm sure every 3:30 or whatever time it is for you when you log in on Tuesdays, you feel part of that community.
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
one of the reasons why, we kind of had talked about doing this kind of thing with when we first were starting the podcast, style shows and doing these lives, was because we're all here in SoCal. We're all part of this like local disability community where there is a lot of different events and support groups and all that kind of stuff out here. But not a lot of places do have that. You don't have access to that in a lot of places of the country or the world. So the virtual space is really the next best thing, I feel like, for everybody. And we're not the only community space here online. I know there's others. So yeah, like if you want to be a part of more than one, you want to find something that works for you, like there's definitely a lot of communities out there. And like
But
we
we're
said,
the but we're
what?
the coolest.
We are
We're
the
the coolest.
coolest. But yeah, that's exactly right. And so yeah, thanks Tom, thanks you guys. That's exactly why we do
But
this, I
but
feel
we,
like. So,
but we can break it down into what community means to you. I mean, a lot of times before or after your injury, a lot of times people find religion and church as part of their community, and that really helps out a lot of people in this day and age, and has for time over many centuries, that church is part of it. And then you think about it in other avenues, that you might have a community of friends that if you playing a certain sport or have a certain hobby, like one of my friends, she's been into this game mahjong, and she's really she's there 3 times a week now, starting to play tournaments. She's really, since her retirement, has glammed onto that community. So it doesn't, necessarily mean that you have to hang out um, with your type. It can be in all sorts of different avenues, and the way you can gain that community and that sense of belonging.
I think it could also be like a solution to one of the most difficult things to overcome and deal with, and a plague on many, many individuals, which is loneliness. It can be really hard to be alone. It can be really hard to feel alone. And sometimes you can have friends and family and people and still have that feeling. And it can be oppressive and it can be overwhelming and debilitating and scary. Um, the beautiful thing about connecting with others with similar and shared interests is just the opportunity to make new friends, the opportunity to connect with new people. Whether it's through something like mahjong or video games or a hiking group or a sewing group or whatever it might be. For many of us, it's been the support groups here in Southern California, the Triumph Foundation, the disabled community down here, Live to Roll. Um, those are opportunities to connect with others, to empathize with others, to hear others going through similar experiences as you. And sometimes even just hearing that you're not alone, hearing that other individuals are going through and experiencing the same things you are, it gives you strength. It gives you something that helps you feel less alone, helps you feel less lonely, helps give you strength and ideas and maybe even like the energy and the willingness to overcome some of these similar struggles and see a positive example of someone who's going through exactly what you're going through, but they're dealing, and not only are they dealing, but they're smiling and they're laughing and they're thriving, and that can sometimes just be enough too, to have a positive example of that. But then to be able to talk with these individuals, connect with these individuals, and find support, find peer support and love and kinship, it can be a life changing experience. And it has been, I think, for everybody here on the pod today, and a bunch of people in the chat probably. I did not grow up in the disabled community in Southern California. I had one individual who lived in my hometown who was a paraplegic. Um, Shout out Jeff, who was an awesome member of our community, and he did teach me a lot. It was cool to have the ability to connect with another individual with SCI, but I did not have a support group. I did not. The only support group I ever attended when I was 13 years old, it was like an hour and a half away from where I lived. And my mom and dad went with me, and four people showed up, and they were all like 40 years older than me. And I was just like, it wasn't. It was cool, and it was a positive experience, but it wasn't something that I really latched onto or connected with. My community was my hometown and my friends and my family, and all of the support and the love that they were giving me, the strength that they were giving me to help grow up. But that all changed when I moved out. I took the leap and I decided to not just move out, but move away from my family. And I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into in terms of like how much I was isolating myself from my community that I built and my whole life. Now I was in a new area where I did not have a single friend and I did not know a single soul, and I was pretty lost and I was pretty lonely, pretty alone. It wasn't until I met another individual with a disability at my college that I was attending at the local gym that we both worked out at, and he told me about this cool support group that happened in Northridge that I should really seriously consider attending. And they didn't even really phrase it like that. They pretty much said, "You have to go, dude." And I was struggling at that time. I was struggling with a lot of things. I was struggling with my independence and functioning and staying healthy. I was hitting my first like health struggles, living alone, and I was overwhelmed with school and 17 units, and, just all this stuff, and feeling like I was going through it all alone. And I was very mistaken in how alone I was, because it turns out there was a lot of amazing, cool, awesome people all around me that were going through a lot of similar struggle and a lot of the same things that I was going through. But they were meeting up every week to give each other love and give each other support and guidance. And that's what I found. And I am not exaggerating that it did save my life. It did allow me to be successful and function and survive and thrive down here independently. And here I am a decade later, and mark my words, I am sure that I would not have made it, or at least as successful as I have, if it were not for my community and the kinship that I found here. Um, and it's just led and turned into so many other positive forces in my life. So that is an example, and it's been like kind of my experience with finding my community down here. And now abroad and people all over the world. You know, like I got homies and friends all over the world now through Live to Roll and stuff, and that's just the most special and amazing thing in my life. What's
Yeah.
your experience been with community, Bobby?
You
Were
know,
you always
without
connected?
I can tell you that with my community, it has made my disability so much easier. And, you know, when at first it was more just finding people that, where you started out, Tom, when you moved down here with the, now it's called the Brown Center, I believe. And it was, you know, I went over there and uh, started with that program and meeting more and more people. And you know, with working out and being around people that were kind of going through the same experience, it kind of helped. And then getting with the community of another nonprofit before Triumph Foundation, and then through Triumph, and you know, I just find that it made my disability a lot easier. And Nicole, you know, she said something. You know, her faith is Jesus Christ, and has gotten stronger since her transverse myelitis. And, you know, people find that. But you also asked Nicole, hit me up. I know we're friends on Instagram, but I got an upper body community that you can do online. I'm actually one of the coaches. So hit me up and I can let you know more about that. Um, I have that one, and I have a community with Lift to Roll, with Triumph. You know, I still I stopped a year ago after 10 years of doing Toastmasters, but I still have that community of friends. And, you know, we still go out and meet up every so often with each other. So, you know, it all just started back then, and it really made my disability a lot easier no matter where I'm finding it. If it was through quad rugby or through this live to rule or through the nonprofits I've worked with, it's really helped out so much more than I could have ever imagined, and made those little painful struggles of having a disability a lot easier, that we can, you know, lean on one another. And that's kind of been my experience with the community. Obviously, it helps living in Southern California where we have so much more.
There's
But it's
Yeah.
also kind
Oh
of
yeah.
nice when I can find other community things, bases like when I did Toastmasters. It had nothing to do with anybody with a disability. It was a group for, you know, those who wanted to become better speakers and better presenters. So and leaders, and that really helped. And up until a year ago, I had the community of even my work friends and work base of people that would come into the hospital where I worked at. And that became its own little network of community base during work hours and after. So that's where I find it for me. How about you, Shawn?
Yeah, I'll go and then we can let Robert go because I want to hear his transition into the community. But yeah, so for me,
I
I
was saving that for last.
yeah, that's what I was figuring too. Yeah, so that's what I was kind of the same. And right in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, like I liked doing the support groups when I was at rehab. Like that's where I met you, Bobby, you and Anthony. Um, and it was cool. I kind of connected, but once I got home, I sort of withdrew from it, like any type of disability community, hanging out, or anything like that. And I kind of went into my own little world and was just hanging out with my old friends and my brothers and stuff like that. Um, and it wasn't honestly until I started doing a couple support groups because I had uh, my rehabs, like my PT or OT, would typically end up being on like the Thursday before the group. So it's just like, okay, I'll hang out for it. And then Bobby, you had been trying to get me to do rugby, and then Mike DeYoung, like I had met and started talking to more in the groups too. And he finally was like you guys were both doing a tournament at the Northridge gym. You were playing for Loma Linda, Bobby, and I came out and checked it out, and like that was really the first time I was around like a bigger, like outside the hospital space of a community of like disabled individuals. And it took a while, but eventually I got into the rugby, and that was my first really like community of like disabled friends, I guess. And that's what really opened me up to once I found like saw the benefits of that and really was like realized how much I enjoyed it and was and like just liked being able to talk to my peers. Uh, that's when I was able to connect with like the larger community, and then eventually Triumph kind of started coming around, and was Andrew was getting everything started there. So like I really fell into it then and have like really wholeheartedly embraced it. Um, but over the years, yeah, I mean, I still that's probably the strongest community I do connect with, but I still do have friends outside of. I a lot of the stuff I did, like I used to play more poker, like Bobby. You know, we used like so I had that kind of little friends of that little community. We gather like once a week or so playing poker and stuff like that. You know, I've gotten into other hobbies that like made friends with like RC cars and things like that. But yeah, the one that stays true for me has been this disability community, and then trying to form the Live to Roll kind of virtual community for it, and yeah, for all of us to be able to have for a resource. And yeah, that's kind of my story of because I was reluctant at first, like that's not for me. I don't know. Like once I got home, those first couple of years, I was 21 and 22 years old, and just didn't at that point was kind of like I don't see the the need to hang out with all these guys. But I'm very
I
glad that
found
I
that
did find it.
for me it was almost like, as crazy as it sounds, it was like accepting my disability
That's
even 20 years post injury. Like
true.
being around other people with disabilities, like committing and going to these groups and events and representing your disability and who you are and stuff. I never really done. And honestly, it gave me some stress and some anxiety to even be around other people in wheelchairs, as crazy as that sounds to me, because now they're like the people I'm most comfortable around because I can relate to them so much. But it was like, oh man, if I go to this group or if I hang out with these people, then that's almost like, all right, dude, like you're disabled, dog. Like this is it. This is your situation. And
It's
that is kind of a weird, almost embarrassing thing to admit, to be honest, just because I've found so much love and strength and support from accepting my disability and accepting and embracing who I am, and like really delving into the community and like accepting everybody and learning so much. So I get what you're saying, Sean. Like it wasn't like I just put myself out there and I was in it. Like there was some stress, there was some trepidation, there was like some internal stuff going on too that I had to accept and figure out. But I'll tell you what, man, like that first plunge in and the feeling that I had leaving, this new group of friends, like it did change my life. Like in that moment, like I was on one path and my path changed towards a more positive, better path, I think, because of that. So, Robert, as an
Yep.
individual who's been paralyzed for 50 years, what's your experience like with the disabled community, with your support and stuff? Was there anything like that when you were first injured? How long
No.
did it take you to discover that? What has it done for you?
No, I wasn't involved with the community at all. Well, first, what it was is the first couple years I was, back in those days, we did all our therapy inpatient. So, you didn't ever go back to the hospital other than for clinic, which was just to see a doctor and that, they check you out to make sure everything's going okay. And that was the only time there. And I'd go back on weekends. We'd play wheelchair football and things like that, different little other sports things that we did. So I did that for a little while, and then a few of the guys that were doing that with me on the weekends, we started a wheelchair basketball team. So I was involved with that up, the first few years. But then after that, I went back to school pretty much 6 months after I got out of the hospital. I was back at school and kind of trying to work and make some money. Uh, but the school thing, once I started getting into my own life, going into school, making new friends there, and when I got out of the hospital, I lived in Hermosa Beach, and had all my friends that I went to high school with. I was still pretty young at that time, so everybody used to hang out down there. That was the place to hang out. So I stayed connected with all my old friends and all that. And the couple friends that I did really enjoy meeting and being part of my life that were in chairs at Rancho, I used to hang out with them. We'd make it a point to get together. One of them lived pretty close to me, so we used to see each other all the time. And unfortunately, later in a few years later, he was in a car accident and was killed. So I kind of lost him there. So that was losing one of the connections there. And I had another friend of mine that was used to come and visit me. He lived a little bit further away, but he was another. He was a para, and he ended up becoming a pilot and was teaching out of Fullerton Airport. And he was in a plane accident, and then I go, man. So I kind of lost the two guys that I really had a connection with. So I kept, obviously life still goes on. So I kind of kind of left the disability community behind because I was finishing my school. I was making new friends there. I had my old friends working, and so I kind of got focused on, moving forward with my life. I met my wife at the time back. This is probably in '76 or '77. I met her. I met her, and then we got married later. Obviously, didn't make it work because I got divorced. I know about 10 years later. Anyway, so I kind of kept moving with my career then. So it was all about I just needed to make money because what they were trying to give me with SSI, that wasn't going to do it. So I don't know. I was kind of, excuse me, I was kind of driven with that. So I stayed, involved with, still went to motorcycle races, was into cars and all that kind of stuff. So I still stayed in that arena, but uh, my job became my competition, so to speak. I was uh, involved in an able-bodied world, and so there's a lot of competition there. Especially, I don't know if it was something to prove to myself that I could be just as competitive. It doesn't have to be my sports; it could be, the job. And so I was always everywhere I worked, and it was always with one company for the 40 some years, whatever. I was the only person that was ever in a wheelchair. There was handicap parking at the places I worked. All of them were filled up, but I never saw one person that was handicapped. So because I used to have my spot, that they gave me a spot by my office and all that. So it was just kind of weird, but I um, went through the years. Everything was okay. I think probably when I started towards the end of my career, when I retired, 8 years ago or something like that. Um, and so I was, like I said, I didn't really have anything to do with the community. I was going to therapy because I really screwed up my shoulder pretty bad. So I was going to therapy at Casa Colina, and this was 2017. And so it was, I think it was the day of the Christmas party at Casa Colina. So I was out
Oh,
waiting for my ride because I wasn't driving because I couldn't transfer much or anything like that. So I was waiting for my ride home, and I bumped into Andrew, and he was kind of telling me about, he was asking me questions, his little interview kind of thing. And so we started talking, and so he invited me to the Christmas party, but I couldn't go because the ride. But he told me about the support group. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So 2018 came around, and I went to one of the CASA support groups, which were never available um, when I was at Ranch or anything like that. They had a psychologist there that came in and talked to you. You know, Obviously at that time, oh no, I got this, I got this. I didn't need to really talk to anybody about it. I mean, kind of dealt with it. You know, just maybe I should have spent more time with the psychologist. I don't know. I mean, it kind of worked it through. I worked through it myself. But anyway, so getting back to the CASA thing, I went to the support group in 2018. The first time I was reconnected with the community. I sat in a room with everybody in wheelchairs that understood that you didn't have to explain anything. I mean, that was my first shock. I go, God, this is great. I mean, my friends, I have really good friends, close friends, and stuff like that. But and some of them know a little bit more what I go through, but they don't really understand the whole the whole thing. They just think that I can't walk or whatever it is. So they don't know the thing of the integrity in terms of what I have to deal with to maintain that, be out and about with them. They want to meet someplace at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. They don't know that I'm getting up at 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
it makes it nice to have a group of people where you can say, yeah, I laid down most of the day, watched TV, or yeah, it was a
yeah,
pain in the ass that I had to change my pants and my cushion
yeah,
cover because I leaked a little bit. You know,
yeah.
they,
Well, like,
Yeah, and it's just so nice. It's like Bobby when we were at that Casa group. It was you, me, and Dean, and we were having lunch together. I mean, the conversation was we were laughing and everything, but it was just some of the stuff we were talking about. I go, it's just great that you can
yeah,
talk to people about anything. You know,
yeah.
I love it.
There's no
I love
way.
it.
Yeah, no way we're going to talk about it with our, AB friends
Yeah, they
that
because
don't
there's
hang
no way
around.
they're going to understand. Yeah, there's no way they're going to. It's like me. The last week or so, I just kind of been laying low because I had some skin issue, and so like that. But no one would understand it. They go, "Hey, aren't you coming out?" I go, "No, I got to kind of do." But all I got to do is mention a little bit in our text or whatever we do. They go, "Oh yeah, take care of it." People understand in this community. They understand what it means. So
yeah,
there's no explaining, and that's what I really like about the community. There's no explanation needed because everyone understands and they know the importance of us having to take care of ourselves. It's not a choice; it has to. We have to.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's like
Uh,
even just before the show, before we all got on, we're all talking about little issues we've been having this last
Yeah,
week and
yeah,
stuff. And like we all understand, like it's like like it's like because we're all dealing with similar things and issues,
but
and
we're all taking turns too, giving each other different advice as to how to help deal with it and take care of it and get
yeah,
better and stuff. It was like a round table. We were like fighting, trying to give advice to one another as to how to
yeah.
deal with our particular ailment that we're suffering through this week. But that's a beautiful thing. It's honestly like something I cannot even put value on because of how much it gives me. Like there is no other place you can garner that kind of information. There is no doctor to speak to. There is no like it really really is. Like I can't call, a doctor or nurse practitioner up and, like get the kind of advice I could from calling Shawn or Bobby who's dealing with the same catheter issue or
Yeah,
was a couple months ago or is dealing with the same skin issue or was recently dealing with the same skin issue and get better advice. I mean, honestly, like there is nothing quite like it. And
yeah.
that its own is something special. Now, let's talk about this. Um, what if you live in a more rural part of the world or rural community? What if you just by via your, geographic location, you don't have a local support group within a reasonable travel distance, or you don't have that kind of community that exists where you are in your part of the world? What do you do? My answer to that is technology. Technology is the best and most amazing thing we've had the benefit of experiencing in our lifetimes. The way we can connect these days via our cell phones, via our computers and the internet and online. It's really something else. If there was a single positive that came out of this whole COVID and the changing of the world in some ways is showing me how cool and beautiful and amazing and strong it can be to connect with people online because for a couple of years that's the only way I did connect with my friends and the only way I did connect with my community was the internet and these podcasts and video chats and this online support groups. So that is what I would recommend and urge. I mean, particularly here in this nonprofit that we keep speaking on, Triumph Foundation. They sponsor more than a dozen support groups, many of which are hosted online, some of which have gone back in person because they are special and valuable ways to connect meaningfully in person too. But many of them still exist online. And the awesome thing about it is anybody anywhere in the world can join into those support groups. I know United Spinal um, has a bunch of online support groups that they host monthly as well for different areas throughout the U.S. And they are not geographically bound, meaning just because you're not from the area doesn't mean you can't join in and be a part of those groups as well. And even beyond, more that I can't name. I don't have time to name, but that's where you can do some research, do some Googling, and figure out how you can connect. I really, really encourage and urge you to. First off, want to thank everybody who found Live to Roll and decided this was cool and it was meaningful and it was special enough part of their life to continue coming back every week and hanging out with us on our shows and connecting offline and on the Discord and everything, because that is really what it was meant to be. That's what me and Shawn and Bobby envisioned from the start, was a means and a way to connect without having to go and physically see one another. And what it's grown into in these last few years is, I don't know, beyond words for me. But there are many, many different communities that exist like this online, and not just for individuals with disabilities. If that is not the way that you want to connect and not something you're interested in, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter the reason, there are still an infinite number of groups online that can be that for you, that isn't disability related. It could be related to whatever
I,
interest you share or
I,
have. Go
I'd like to jump in here right now and say, yeah, I agree with you totally with the technology available to us. I mean, with especially with the pandemic and all that. I mean, it did allow everyone to stay connected, but I also think there's an element of that's important, especially in the disability community, to get out and to be in live meetings and things like that, because there's a lot of people out there that, yeah, they as convenient as the technology is, but it also uh, doesn't allow them to get out and do what they're supposed to do in terms of socializing. There's a group that I participate in here in Orange County, and we have outings every other month, and most of that is to like go to a restaurant, meet, and hang out, go to the mall, just kind of hang out over there, hit the food court or whatever, just getting out. And the people that are showing up to these places are the people that usually get out anyway. It's not the people that need to be really part of this to get out, because we're all in a comfort zone with us. So I think technology is great, but I don't want to see people lose sight of the importance of being social live. I don't know if I'm putting in the words right, but
No, you are,
I
and
just
I think that like these online groups and communities can be a great bridge to that, because next thing you know, you're talking to someone who's only lives an hour or two away from you, and it's like, hey, why don't we plan to meet up in the middle sometime? Or even if it's a friend across the country or in a different part of the world, and you're planning a trip a year out to go and travel and see them or meet somewhere in the middle and stuff. Like I'm telling you, like I think the simplicity of connecting online can be such a bridge to what you're talking about, Robert, which I think is super important too, to get out and get some sun on your skin and get your hands dirty and socialize in that way as well. But
yeah.
finding that in-person interaction, I think, can be sometimes harder than
Well,
connecting online. But
I
connecting
I
online, I think, is the bridge
I
to a lot of that in-person
Yeah,
interaction,
I agree.
because
I totally agree. But it's just like for school. That's why for me going to school just wasn't about education. It was about socialization. It got me out there. Here I'm in my new world with wheelchair, and I'm meeting people that are my age or whatever. And that was a big piece. I mean, the social thing. I can just you can skate by in school. I mean, you can study if you want. You can don't. You can just you keep that C if you want. But the socialization for me was what was important. I got into a community with, there was a radio station on campus. I mean, it was important. And that's, I think, a big thing of development, even though the importance of these support groups online and the programs on YouTube and things like that are great, but it doesn't replace getting
No,
out, just getting out.
but I
Yeah, I
think
think
what
the
Tom is trying to say is that for those that live in that rural area that
Yeah.
have
Oh, yeah.
one other spinal cord in a 40-mile radius, that's where the support groups and online things that can help.
Oh,
I
I
did
get
put
it.
in the
I get
chat.
it.
I don't know if it showed up, but I did put in the chat that the Triumph Foundation support groups. Yeah, it might say click on the Los Angeles one, and you'll get when our the times and the link to our support groups. you don't have to be in Southern California to join us and be part of a support group. Geez. And I
Yeah.
also put the funnel network, and you can find out if there's anything in your area. But I think the online helps when it's just you. You're
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
there,
Okay. Yeah.
Kentucky, in some town in Kentucky, and you're like, "Shh, there's nobody like me.
Yeah.
You know, I can't go to like what
Yeah.
Shawn went to rugby and what
Even
Tom does,
living in Long
and
Beach or LA County. I mean, Bobby, with what you've done and shown me, and Paul with like staying driven and the online workout group. I mean, that is how you guys stay active. Even in
mhm,
your own homes, it's connecting online. Like, without that, like, I mean, can't even put into words how much activity, physical activity, and social engagement you guys have garnered from being a part of that. I'm sure just from what I've heard you guys in talking about it and sharing your experiences with it. So I think the opportunity is there to find, and it does. It's just a bridge to more opportunity to
Yeah.
connect
Okay.
with other groups of people in other more meaningful ways. And I don't know, Robert, you're just as right as I am and Bobby is about connecting and stuff. I mean, with I can't just connect online. It's so important for me to see my people and to hug my friends and to get some physical contact and to go out and get some sunshine on my skin and have a drink and laugh with my people in person because there's just no replacing that. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that I can survive, at least through connecting online and um, the way that the different opportunities it's open for me. I mean, even friends outside of like the disabled community, like I now have college friends that don't live in the same state anymore, and we get to hang out every week and play poker and have a beer
Yeah.
and watch movies together and like have fun and socialize and hang out just because we don't live in the same state anymore. So that is all I meant to say by like is I think it's just a powerful tool to connect, and I think
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be a bridge
Definitely.
to other opportunities that will lend to this greater community that we're speaking on, here today.
And I was gonna say too, the thing with that, like, say, like you were saying, Tom, you're in some town, like, you don't think there's any other disabled people or anybody within like 100 miles of you, 50 miles, whatever. But if you
Yeah.
go on, you might be able to go on to some local area. You might find that there's another guy, maybe 20 miles away, that also feels like he's completely isolated. And if you can connect with one person, you can connect. You can maybe end up making a local group with one, two people. I actually just met a guy down in San Diego, newly injured, and he just kind of like has been forming a little group with like three or four other guys down in his area because he's a little bit far, not like the main area, he's a little farther out. And they've been like meeting up weekly just to like go out, hang out, do things, kind of just
Yeah.
starting their own little thing. And that kind of stuff is great. So if you can connect online and then eventually, link up, meet, even if they're not close, plan to do some travel, do something to eventually make that personal connection.
and
So
And
you be
I mean, just like so many people here at Live to Roll. I mean, Paul, the first time we met was like here on the channel, like through this chat and stuff. And, like now Bobby and Paul are best friends. And not only have we gotten a chance to hang out once, but multiple times, like in different states and different locales. Nikki and Ashley, our amazing friends in Chicago. Kevin, who's in Kentucky, get the chance to, talk and get close and, make this friendship and then meet in person and stuff. Like, I'm counting the days till I can hang out with Miss THC Goddess and our buddy Ben Tipton and stuff because of like how close I've got to these friends who I still have never met in person, but we hang out every week, more than once a week, gaming here on the show, and in between, just talking to one another and
Yeah.
sharing love and giving support when we need it. And I'm telling you, man, like there's just no price on that. There's no way to even describe how meaningful and special it is. And if you would have like told me a couple years ago that I would have not only like met all these people that live in so far away from me in different parts of the world, but that we wouldn't only connect online, but actually get to connect in person, I would have said you were crazy. I would have said like, oh man, that's probably not going to be the case. But the proof is in the pudding, and here we are a couple years later, and it's just been the most special, beautiful, one of the most special, beautiful parts of my life.
and shout out to another one, Roy, that we met out in Arizona last year, through the channel and
Yes.
stuff. Super cool. and then
And anybody we didn't name, everybody that we've had a chance to meet and connect with, like all of you guys live in my memory and my heart, and y'all are the best.
yeah, and Rico Suave a while back in the chat said he'll see us Saturday at the expo. That's awesome. Anybody in SoCal, please come out. We'd love to meet you. So yeah, come on out and hang out, and it'll be fun. So looking forward to meeting you, Rico Suave.
Shawn, you said something interesting though that you might never even know if you do live in one of those small little rural areas that there might be somebody else that has a disability or similar to you a little bit because even still to this day, like I have a chair back there that somebody donated and they called our foundation and they're like, oh yeah, we have somebody, my Bobby, he lives in Orange County, if you can drop it off. And the guy's like, oh yeah, I'm in. He's in the same town as me. I like meaning city. Like he lives 12 miles from me, and I've never seen this guy here. I mean, yeah, you just never know. I'm like, oh my god, you're like you're on the next block over, and part of the workout, staying driven, that where I met Paul, or I met Paul actually before that, but we joined together, but we have a gal there too. Never seen her, but she lives in the same city I do, and it's just great. So like the other day, I was like, "Oh, I have a piece of equipment for you. Now I can go drop it off." But she would have never gotten it if we didn't for um, join a sense of community, and that's why it's
Yeah.
really important. And something else, you don't even have to be in school like college. You can find those adult schools, and
Yep.
find a hobby that might interest you. If it's trying to learn another language or something with arts and crafts or something like that, join an adult school. You never know where it might take you.
And
Yep.
actually,
Yep. I agree.
shout out to Sarah. She said you have to put yourself out there. I'm part of a skate
Yeah.
group. It's nice to roll with others on wheels. Think outside the
Yeah.
box. Like
Exactly.
honestly, most places like that are gonna welcome you. Like if they're going skating, you're rolling. Like it's still fun. It's still a cool that. That's awesome. That is really cool. So I love that.
And also, just to reiterate the whole education thing too. Can't tell you how many opportunities and how much friendship and love and kinship and community came out of going to school, going to a
Yep.
junior college, transferring and going to a university and stuff. Like even like your local like schools, like schooling and stuff. If you're bored and you got the time and you want to better yourself in a positive way, take a class on something you're interested in and open yourself up to some friendship and some opportunity. And I think you will be really, really surprised as to how much unveils itself to you. Because yeah, it's a really great way to connect, and you also get a chance to better yourself along the way. Because it's never too late or too early to learn something new.
And I think this is in most states, but there's a app and if it's a website called Meetup. You know, find something that
Yep.
might be in your area that might interest you. It doesn't have to be actually a school thing or an adult school thing. Just looking up Meetup. There might be, like Tom was saying earlier, poker group. There might be a
Yeah.
card or board games. People who like to play board games, like my friend who now plays mahjong. You never know what you're going to get, or a
Well,
walking
well,
group.
yep. And the thing too is though, by just getting out there, like I go down to the beach a lot. I like going down to the beach and stuff and just hanging out, meeting new people and having some friends down there for cocktails and stuff. But just hanging out down there, you're just on the boardwalk and things like that. You bump into people or there's another person you might see in the distance in a wheelchair. You guys kind of nod and then you start talking or whatever. I mean, it's just, I agree with, was it Sarah that said you putting yourself out there? And, like I said, it doesn't have to be looking for someone else in a wheelchair, just getting out there and socializing and meeting people. And, you know, it's like for me working all those years, I was the only guy in the chair or whatever. But, I'd like to think that by me being their boss or whatever, that I open their eyes up to people that they bump into or their family members that, there's things you can still do in life and it doesn't necessarily stop you. It doesn't have to be wheelchair community or just your work community or whatever. It's just a community being out there. And yeah, again, the community now that I'm involved with now with you guys and things like that, I enjoy it. I look forward to going to things when we're going to have events and stuff like that, because it's just the sense of camaraderie is you can just feel it. It's just good. Everyone's has a story, and everyone's there because they're surviving, and they're survivors, and they want to do more. So I think it's the best feeling is our community. It's such a tight community. Even if you don't really know a lot of the people, because I just go to these events, I don't really participate. I just hang out, and then that I like that because I enjoy it.
No, yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. There's almost something indescribable, Robert, as to what you're saying. Like it's like the feeling when you're going home after hanging out with your people. And like you said, even like I can't tell how many times I've been at a group and I didn't even talk to anybody. I just sat there and listened and
Yeah.
connected through other people's stories and experiences. And I just wasn't feeling like talking that day or really feeling like socializing, but still the positives that it gave me and like the feelings that I
Yeah.
had leaving were really like something else, in like a really
There's
positive, amazing way.
there's a positive vibe at all these events. Everybody there is a
Hmm.
positive person. That's why they're out there. That's why they're doing that. Uh, it's just like I said, it's just an overwhelming feeling, and that's
Well,
why I
not
enjoy going
everybody's
to these
always
things.
not
Well, I
everybody's
mean,
always positive. Not everybody's always great,
well,
but
for the most part, they're out. They're trying something new. Maybe they're out of their comfort zone and they're not getting used to it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a positive vibe. I mean, the overall, there's good energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
yeah.
I mean, it's what you make it, obviously. But if you're open for it, it's there.
It
yeah.
is. It is what you make it. And you just said it. Shout out Daryl. What's up, Daryl? Our buddy Andrew, who's apparently living it up in Vegas right now, dude.
From the
After a
UK.
long haul from the UK. Shout out, dude. Wish I was there in Vegas partying with you, bro. Come and check out the expo in LA this weekend. We're only 5 hours away.
Andrew,
Um,
$20 on black for me, please.
Yeah, yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
If you win
Vegas,
big, you don't know,
Vegas is
you don't
fun,
know
man.
anything about it.
uh,
Is there
same
any
deal.
other questions
I was gonna
or
say,
things you wanted to touch
And
on in
even
regards to this?
I was going to say this one last thing. Shawn, we even have a little community with our fantasy football. Shawn
that's
got me into this fantasy football league this year with just all quads. And I
yeah.
thought they all live local. No,
No, they're all over the country.
yeah, they're all over. And so I was like, when I was talking to a couple of them about trying to trade, I'm like, dude, we should hook up. I don't even live in your state. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, okay. So even that was just a part of a small community that we have. So I just thought of that earlier, and I meant to shout that out there, Shawn.
Yeah, no, that is that is cool. That is true because that is fun, and it is like it's kind of disability related because we all are quads, but we don't talk about quad stuff. We're talking about fantasy football, football stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
if anything. So it is a totally different, but that dual connection. So it is cool. It's fun. But yeah, Robert.
Steelers country. Let's weld.
And
Yeah,
just to mention this and to speak on it very briefly, because it's not worth talking about for too long. Um, it, opening yourself to other people, interacting with other human beings, you can put yourself in a vulnerable situation. That's part of it. Part of being vulnerable and opening yourself up to so much love and positivity and so many resources and so many cool things. But sometimes you can open yourself to not so positive forces as well. I wish everybody was beautiful and wonderful and amazing, but I know for a fact that they're not. There's some really shitty, ugly, nasty people out there. So when
Well,
you are
they're
in that
everywhere. They're
space,
everywhere out there in the world.
they're
but
everywhere. They're everywhere. And when you're in that space, know that it's okay to close some doors. You don't always have to interact with everybody. You can focus on the positive, focus on the love, and shove everything else as far away from you as humanly possible, and don't worry about the negativity.
oh yeah,
I'm just saying that that can be a part of it. have had this personal experience myself, and I've known and
All right,
met other individuals who have had
that's
similar experiences, and that's just a part of it. It's part of being vulnerable and opening yourself up to other people. And it's okay to close some doors. It's okay to find solace and peace and love with those who actually truly love you and care for you and are friends. And you just have to navigate that as you come across it. So that is not to like put a spoiling on the community or anything that we talked about, but it is unfortunately a reality of community and connecting with others too, is that it's not always an easy thing, and it cannot always lead to positive stuff, but that is where you gotta take control and navigate the waters as they present themselves, and make sure that you take care of yourself and you stay positive and you're good.
all right. Yeah,
Well,
well,
that's what life. That's what life is.
that is life. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things in life. So it's just navigating life and making sure to keep a
Yeah.
positive attitude about things. That's what we try to do here at Live to Roll and stay positive and be
That's
an
it, baby.
inclusive community for all. So yeah, let's go ahead and we're wrapping up the hour here now. Let's do the full shout out for the sponsors here. Um, or actually, Robert, you're the man at these, dude. You want to just go
Yeah,
for it? We got you. If we got you on here, I want you to do the sponsors if you're up for it. Oh, you muted yourself. It says.
Dang, all that hype.
I want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
know.
just want to give a. I just want to give a big, great thanks to mobility professionals and urology professionals. Uh, both are a great group of people. They're sister companies. Mobility Professionals is a local company here with a great group of experts, great team to work with. They provide help with your wheelchairs, rehab equipment. Their sister company, Urology Professionals, is a national company, can handle all your urological needs. And as we always say, they're part of the community, involved in the community, and mean a lot to the community. So if you have any mobility needs for wheelchairs and equipment, or urological needs across the country, give them a check out, and they'll help you out.
Yeah, all their information is in the description below. And if you're in the Southern California area, they will be at the Abilities Expo. Actually, Urology Professionals is literally right next to us. Mobility is right across the aisle. So they have two separate booths, and they are right, we're a little triangle with them. So we thank our sponsors. We appreciate you guys very much. And
Yeah,
then
great group of people.
let's go ahead and get on to the shows for the week. So tomorrow we got T Fizzle Gaming coming up with Tom on the gaming stream. So if you guys are into gaming, you guys want to join him, hit him up, send him a message. Tom's usually pretty open to having some guest gamers on. I know we've had quite a few others join. So hit up Tom tomorrow for some gaming every
It's a
Wednesday.
good hang. It's just a cool opportunity to hang out and socialize too. Even if you're not gaming, we talk about life and living and friendship and loving one another and supporting one another. So if you're just in need of some of that, come and hang out with us. We'll probably be spending most of the night together, hanging out
Andrew,
with some cool people.
Andrew, you're not used to the time. We're at always
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
Pacific, you're on Pacific Coast time, and we're always at 3:30, and so yeah, unfortunately, you're an hour late.
Yeah, it's all right. Next time you'll get the time
Yeah,
zone figured out. Shout out
see you on.
Don. See you this weekend,
Yeah,
man. See you Saturday. That's awesome.
Yep.
And don't forget to hit that like button, like Bobby says. And then
Yep.
so this Thursday we also have, oops, dragon. This Thursday we got, where's my banners? There we go. Rolling over the hill. Bobby and Robert will both be back with Luis on Thursday. I think we may be switching the guests this week for
yes.
having to
Switching.
reschedule the week a little bit. But it will be a great show for you guys. Always talking about cool stuff. And the wealth of knowledge that you guys have is really amazing. So that will be an awesome show. And then this weekend, the Abilities Expo, we will be live
Yep.
streaming from the expo Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we actually, come to think of it, we'll have like, I don't even know, almost 2 straight weeks of streaming because we do the Monday through Thursday, and then now we'll have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday stream for you, to fill in that gap for the expo. So we'll be lots of Live to Roll this coming up week, you guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and join. And you got to come out to the expo, check out all the new stuff.
Yeah,
Just come
definitely.
hang out, meet. It's always just a great time at the expo. So
Come and discover a beautiful, amazing community. Even if you're not local to LA, you can join us online and come and be a part of it too, every day. And make sure to, because it's cool. At least I think it is.
yeah, no, it's an awesome event, awesome expo. We will all be out there. So come hang out, come check it out, check us out.
Also on Friday, our good friend Doug from Walk
Oh,
and Roll podcast.
the
He's going
walk.
to be with us. He's going to be with us on Friday. So come check him out as well.
And I think we're gonna do a little podcast with him possibly. I still have to call him and work out what are the details. But I know that he has a friend bringing some good podcasting equipment. So Friday we'll check out lots of
Cool.
content and we will share that stuff as well. But we appreciate you guys. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to check out the website for more information. Make sure to follow us and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. We also have all of our shows uploaded on Shopify or Spotify and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. So thank you guys. Shopify too. We got all the gear on Shopify. So just check out the merch. I just restocked all the hoodies. I'm getting them back up there. So we got lots of stuff in stock. So come on out,
Right on.
check out the new gear, you guys. Thank you guys. We appreciate you guys.
All right, you guys. Thank
We'll see you
you.
guys next week.
All right, live to
everybody.
roll.